love with. On airplane and on a train for COVID like his Game of Thrones. Dr. Fauci and CDC like Spider-Man had no way home.
These are the days of our lives.
Well, you're trying to convince me.
These are the days of our lives.
Well, alright, Mr. Braveheart, the Union upstart, paints Tobago green like Hulk. Now the Lion King, the party leave him home alone, he is left to sulk.
These are the days of our lives.
I stay out the people, them business.
These are the days of our lives.
Harriet turned to Waterworld. Fantastic Four lost their soul. Divers take flight and die hard on Blue Horizon. Police and Coast Guard in a stew, like Equalizer 1 and 2. Confront at the OK Corral over a red dawn. The acting a movie, left the credit roll. If you don't act properly, hell will take your soul. Everybody have a task, man in the iron mask. Black box a love story. You control your cinematography. The have and the have-nots in the same pot. Even Bruce Almighty, this Terminator took a toll on that Trinity. I'm singing that way.
And yeah, it's about time for me to bust it. Yeah. But real big people in the business are up next with Eye on Dependency, so stick and stay for that.
When I Pfizer or Moderna, like his avatar we dealing with, like Liam Neeson, too taken, and you could still contract COVID.
These are the days of our lives.
I refuse to believe it.
These are the days of our lives.
Well, alright, jobs like John Wick, we in the Matrix, between Delta and Omicron. Paramedic, his forensic, Grey's Anatomy, meltdown.
These are the days of our lives.
Come on.
These are the days of our lives.
Some people merciless. This resident evil make them zest. They pass you like Shrek, the usual suspects. You ain't graduate. They treat you like you forsaken. You are unforgiven.
Open newspaper and see a bad boy got shot down again. Body stiff, gun still in his waist. My heart start grieve me when I see my youths them lose their way, lose their true identity. So I've got a special request to all of the bad boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request to all of the rude boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. You could put your life in misery if you start the ranking thing. Oh yeah, don't bother with the gun thing. You know you could flush them out of your mind. Listen to me. Special request to all of the bad boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request to all of the rude boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down.
This Sunday, on episode 19 of Eye on Dependency, reality radio at its best.
The Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service is home to many citizens who can help us understand our crime situation because it's a university. Recently, Eye on Dependency spoke with a female prisoner who dropped out of school at 12 and was put out of the home by her father at age 16. Then this happened.
We were stopped by police, and I was charged for arms, ammunition, and marijuana for the purpose of trafficking.
We then interviewed a male prisoner who is on remand for murder, who said this.
I went to school in Port of Spain, Richmond Street Boys. After that, I passed for a junior sec. I reached senior sec, but never finished school. I got expelled in Form 5 for fighting with a teacher. So after all the years of schooling, I left with nothing.
Are we prepared to learn lessons from these students of crime? Or are we going to allow these clear messages to go to waste? You want to solve crime? Then let's hear your thoughts, John Public, this Sunday from 10 a.m. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the I on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. I on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
Ion Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Natasha, and welcome to Iron Dependency. And thank you for joining us if you're listening on I-95.5 FM or on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. Good morning, Mr. Garth.
Good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Storm and Tom.
Morning.
And good morning to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome once again to Iron Dependency. We have lots to unpack today. And take into consideration that we have hardly get a chance to speak with you, the listening audience, we're going to try to do that today. However, we've done these programs ad nauseum, and we've always felt that we never get a chance to dissect and come up with an answer, at least for one topic. So, Natasha and I decided we're going to do that today, taking the lessons we got from the young lady we spoke with.
Previous two interviews, yes. With persons who are currently incarcerated. One is on remand and one is convicted. But what we gleaned from our interviews with these persons has led us to believe or to be firm in our belief that we're not listening to the right people. Some of what was said and some of their lived experience can teach us a lot about how we prevent crime and criminal behavior.
So let's tie in what we heard from the young lady, and you will hear from the young man. He speaks about growing up, his school, drugs and gangs in school, the fights in school, about his mom and dad, on being unstable and unsupervised, as a high school dropout, surviving on the streets. You all know where he is now. And then for those of you who join us, will be joining us on our social media platform, we want to tie in as well some of the behavior that we are seeing. So we're going to show you an example of a guy stealing a door in the dead of night, a purse snatcher, an attempted robbery, lady commenting on the experience she had recently in Tobago. Then you're going to see some people try to traffic drugs in their weave, cocaine in their hair. We'll try to describe it to you, those of you who choose to listen. And then there was a caption of a Port police officer arrested. And finally, in the first hour, we plan to do this in the first hour, which is a dream that we have. a dream that we have for Trinidad and Tobago, which is a unit for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Special unit or officers can be trained to do it. But we show you what we hope that can happen. Now, Dependency have been on the air for the last 20 years. Dependency didn't come about by I-95 calling us and say we want you all to do a talk show on drugs. Yours truly have been there. For those of you who by now, I don't know for what reason, may not know my story, but I've had my run-in with crack cocaine, and crack cocaine came and met us in the military. Imagine that, right? And this is why this morning too, we're going to address Pundit Maharaj one more time, but from a different angle. Also the judiciary. And why the judiciary? Because it's time somebody says, you know what, I'm not afraid of my people. And every time members of the judiciary speak, they always talk about stakeholders and NGOs, and we cannot do it alone, and we need stakeholders. And Dependency have been a stakeholder for the last 20 years of the judiciary, the National Drug Council, and NADAP. And when I say stakeholder, I mean Dependency have produced tangibles that the judiciary, some use it, some don't, some magistrates use it, some don't, which is the drug treatment courts. And let history be known that anytime you hear drug treatment courts mentioned in Trinidad and Tobago, it's because of Dependency. There are drug treatment courts in Trinidad and Tobago.
And lest anyone, sorry to cut you, but lest anyone be confused about what the word stakeholder means, it means that it's an individual or organization that has a stake in the objectives of the institution in question. So if this is the judiciary, we on Dependency have a stake in what their objective is in terms of dispensing justice, especially in our case, to persons who have an issue with drugs.
When I was in prison, there wasn't anything that even talk of drug treatment facility or courts. When the journey of Dependency started, we have the living proof in pictures, because we've done reports on all the institutions we've interviewed in the UK, US, and Canada representing drug treatment courts. We started with the Brooklyn Drug Treatment Court. And we were even allowed to interview some of the participants of that session that morning. There was a graduation. And Justice Madonia and others, they were very, very welcoming. And that convinced us that we needed a drug treatment court. We needed drug treatment courts in Trinidad and Tobago. And because it sort of, if not slows down, even remove the revolving door. It don't work for all. But once it's applied, the person who wants to come off drugs, instead of going to prison, will have the option to go to the drug treatment courts.
And access treatment as opposed to a prison record.
Right. So we saw it out there, and we brought it back to Trinidad and Tobago and introduced it to the judiciary via the Drug Council. After 5 years of convincing and arm twisting, they finally decided, okay, let's go with the drug treatment courts. That's the history of drug treatment courts in Trinidad and Tobago. And you here on Dependency who listen to us, you have the benefit of that knowledge now. So anytime you hear that, Garth and Natasha and Dependency introduced drug treatment courts to Trinidad and Tobago, and it was accepted. Now, as a stakeholder in the judiciary, we're not jumping on any bandwagon, and we're not going to speak or disrespect the Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago. No way, no how. That's not the plan. But as stakeholders, we have a right to comment. So later on in the program, we'll address that, because now the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago and the judiciary, by extent, have asked the Minister of National Security to apologize for the statement he made. Okay. Yeah, Minister, apologize. But not before we outline what the judiciary has to apologize for.
Perhaps.
Once they do that, then you go ahead and apologize. If they don't, then keep your apology, because we support you on this one.
When last have we heard an apology from the judiciary for anything? Have we ever?
And I'll outline some of the things that they need to apologize for later on in this program. All right? As I said, we are stakeholders. We've been branded as that because we have officials of the judiciary congratulating and Dependency for the work that they've done for, to support the judiciary. We have that too. Anybody challenge it, we could play it for you to hear. What the director at the time of the National Drug Council said and what Justice Malcolm Holdip said in a public forum. We have that on tape. So we are not going after the judiciary because it's fashionable to do so and we jump in on any bandwagon. We have a valuable and valid concern and stake in how our justice system runs in Trinidad and Tobago. I was in prison and I understand what happens in prison, and as you heard from it's a university. A university that I could have learned. I learned how to steal cars and where to sell them. I learned where to get the drugs, how to mix drugs, you name it, I learned that in prison. It was up to me to put it to use when I was released. I decided to leave that right there and be part of the solution. So, if Natasha has nothing to add,
Well, just to add that I really want our audience to participate in the conversation today. Listen to what the clips that we have to play. Look and listen.
Take notes.
And take notes, because we really are intent on changing the narrative. The overwhelming narrative is that it just have criminals out there. Most of them of a certain hue. And we need to get rid of them. Exterminate them like cockroaches, as one former police commissioner said. No, we are not taking that approach. We think that as human beings and as citizens of this country, we need to take another approach to prevention. Prevention. They always say prevention better than cure, right? So instead of having a pipeline from school to prison or from certain communities to prison, let us try and interrupt that pipeline by saving our children from going down that road. And there's a way we can do it. If we listen to the people who have walked that road and who are in that position right now, I heard somebody say the other day, just as a final point, people always say, politicians et al., say that progress is a long and arduous journey, right? It's take long. But how long does it take to destroy someone? Destroy a family? Destroy an institution? Seconds, right? To take someone's life. Seconds. So can we focus on the progress rather than the destruction of people's lives? I think that is what we would like to accomplish.
So there are lessons to be learned here. After this break, when we, as I said, get your pen and paper and write down some things here. Tell us what you understand from what you heard, and then we'll discuss that, and then I will show you one of the things that fueling crime in Trinidad and Tobago. Why? Because I've been there, I've done it. The only thing I've never done is rob anybody or put a gun to their head and take their possessions. But you name it, you put it down, I go on with it. And it was not something, and where was I? I didn't go looking for cocaine. Cocaine came and met us. And when I say us, sailors and soldiers from the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. It met us in there. And that journey from then on was horrible. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to prevent others, especially servicemen, from doing it. But listen, in a perfect world, no institution in this country, or very few, would have drug addicts, gambling addicts, cocaine addicts, you name it, alcoholics. Almost everyone, including the judiciary, has. Including. Don't be mistaken about that. All right? So let's go to this break quickly. And when we return, let's start this journey. Let's see what we can dissect from what this young man said and how we can use it now to spread that message and probably help us understand where some of the problems stemming from. After this break, we'll be back. Stay right there.
Slavery, a terrible time in our history. The kidnapping, buying and selling of people for profit, the exploitation of another human being. It still exists today. It has a new name: human trafficking. Anyone can be a victim. there is forced labor, sexual exploitation, and domestic servitude. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem and an emerging concern for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. If you know of or suspect human trafficking activity, call the counter-trafficking hotline at 800-4CTU or 800-4288. Human trafficking is a crime. Identify it, report it, stop it. A message from the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that locked up in the UK for drug trafficking.
Oh, yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Tobago? And I tell you about them boy I was liming with? Well, alright. Don't drop the soap. Carry on.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday from 6:15 to 8 p.m. on I-95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Same with us, and we apologize for that mix-up in the timing there, but we'll have that corrected as soon as possible. All right, so let's go to clip A, and this is John speaking about growing up. Let's start from there because I always talk about foundation. I grew up in a dysfunctional home, which paved the way, paved my road for me. I didn't even know that. All right, so let's go to that clip. Here's what he said.
I was born down Diego Martin. From a young age, I left there and I went to Maloney to live. My mother and father were separated, so I guess that is what really made the move. I went to Maloney to live with my mother. My father was living in Port of Spain at the time. So when they get separated, she moved to Maloney and well, I went with her. I have an older brother. I and him went up Maloney to live with her. He has a different father, but two of us was with our mother.
And that relationship growing up home, what was it like with your mom and dad? You didn't remember anything because you said you moved when you were very young.
I can't remember my mother and father being together. That's how young they moved now.
Right. So from the start, from early o'clock, his family was broken up. So his parents split, and he and his half-brother went to live with his mother. And he will go on to say what happened from there. But even though that is a normal thing that happens to a lot of people, parents split up and the children go one way or the other. But I think in John's case, it was doubly tragic in the sense that his mother was not physically present for a lot of the time. So in that case, he was sent to live with his father.
And we're also looking at geographical location too as well. Where because remember, at one mother we spoke with, she moved from Diamondville and went to Movan.
Mm-hmm.
And is there some connection? You notice that?
Yeah.
Right. Let's go to clip B. Not trying to cast aspersions on any place, but again, part of the issue with substance abuse is geographical location. We have that in print, so we're not making that up. Okay, let's go to clip B.
I went to school in Port of Spain, Richmond Street Boys. After that, I passed for a junior sec. I reached senior sec, but I never finished school. I got expelled in Form 5 for fighting with a teacher. So I never really got to do my exams or anything like that. So after all the years of schooling, I left with nothing.
Correct. So
Right.
there's another domino falls there, right?
Yep.
You all pick up that, right? And then he's leaving school now with no academic qualification or vocational skill.
Yep.
There's only one place and one thing he can do with his life. Taking into consideration, mother hardly around, father is a drug addict, which you will hear about in this clip coming here, clip C.
Yep. And just one point about how we dispense with consequences in the school environment. He was expelled for fighting with a teacher, but no plan was made for his education after that. It was like you could put him out of school and that's it.
And not only that, before that, what was causing him to behave like that?
Precisely.
And
nobody investigated where he was living, who his parents were, and what their condition was that would have caused him to get into a fight with a teacher.
And, as they say, the rest is history. Let's go to clip C.
Back in my school days, it was a gang, It's just they did not name for it them time. It was still a gang. It was a group of fellas doing the wrong thing. So more or less, it was a gang. It just didn't name no 6 or no 7 or no Rasta or no Muslim thing, but it was a gang more or less. School back then was just like school now, It's still at the same fights, drugs, the schools, everything. It's just, it didn't have cell phones and things to record it. So it might not have been in the public eyes as much, but it was kind of always a problem.
It was always a problem. He's right about that. The fights that we are seeing now playing out on social media were always a thing. We're just now getting to see them. But as he said, gangs in schools and of course drug use in schools is nothing new, but obviously has an impact on how all of the students, all of the children learn and experience that environment.
So there's another domino drop there. Let's go to clip E. What caused the fights?
Well, a whole lot of different things. Egos would have caused fight. You and your friends from a certain district, other men from another district. One man in see eye to eye. You might hear you and this man fall out. You don't even really know what to fall out for, but he's your friend. So it's kind of the rule in, growing up. Your friend in a bacchanal, you have to be in the bacchanal too. He doesn't really study what the bacchanal, whether he right or he wrong. And you involve yourself in it. Next thing you're in a big fight in the school, you're in trouble. And when you really sit down, you really don't even know what you're in trouble for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
self-explanatory.
Let's go to the other one.
Yep. What was your mother saying? Was she involved with your school at all, talking to teachers?
My mother is a woman who was real strict. Teach me all the right morals, to say thanks, to say good morning, good evening. She didn't grow me up to be in this life. She really tried. I have to give she credit for that. It's just I had my own mind. And well, I more feel it was like, it's really self-value too now. But my mother used to fly out plenty. So when my mother fly out now, she used to send me to stay by my father. And he's a man living in Port of Spain, but my father used to smoke drugs. So taking care of the place and thing wasn't really his main focus, So I used to live in a kind of breakdown home. So I used to be like shame when my friends and them come. I used to want them to know where I live in. Because my place bushy. Sometimes it had no current, And my father smoking, he on drugs. That kind of really dropped my value as a person. From day now I started doing the wrong things because the people who I lining with is men who don't really care how my house looking, because them house looking the same way and we feeling the same way.
You'll understand that, folks? So my mother was a very good mother too. She was just a little uneducated in a sense and ignorant in a sense too of how to treat with an extrovert as a son. And there are a lot of things she didn't understand about me, but she tried. My mother grew us up
I'm the only one in my family got into trouble with the law. So, as he said, she was a good mother, but she too was a little ignorant. So he turned into a barrel child, so to speak, as we describe them. And then having a father on drugs that is the recipe and the open door for a child, a male especially, to do anything.
Of course. Because there's no supervision,
there's no supervision.
Example, there's no discipline, there's no correction, there's no parenting.
Now, while you're listening to this,
there.
picture how many homes we have like that in our country right now.
Yep.
Just picture it for yourself, all right? And again, we're not justifying or giving anybody reason to commit crime, please.
No.
Please, you know how we think here in this country and we're quick to go in a direction out of context. We're not supporting that at all. But there is a journey for some, and once the dominoes start to fall one way, unless somebody recognizes it and pull out one, it will continue till the end, where he is now. The young lady who dropped out of school at 12, she dropped out of school at 12, and I would say allowed to drop out of school at 12, because who followed up, who went home by her to find out what was going on? Again, no one. So, and then her father put her out at the age of 16. Now think, how you expect that to end well? Unless a child has that gift.
Yeah, but what would cause a father to put out his girl child at 16 years old out of the house? What? What could she possibly do to deserve that?
And there you go again. Who question a parent? And who will bring a parent to book for putting out a girl child at the age of 16? That's crazy.
That led her to the straight into the arms of a man who similarly, neglected and abused her and used her, and ended up, involving her in drug trafficking. And look where she is now.
You all following the picture here? Listen carefully. Listen, please. That's all we ask you to do this morning, is listen and think. Father on drugs? Well, we know how that will go. Lucky the father didn't sell the bed that he slept on. Let's go to the other clip. John, what about drug use now? Seeing that you had no father to check on you to see if you had drugs in your bag or if you studied in your...
I didn't even used to go to school with a bag when I buy my father. Remember, he didn't really paying mind to me. He just know he sending me to school. So I put one book in my pocket and I go into school.
And teachers never asked you anything? Anybody ever intervened?
They used to call for my parents. They would call for my mother to talk. She would come, they would call back for my parents. But it's only she alone used to come when she come from America, because he don't have time for that. Reach a point where they wanted to see my both parents at the same time. And that can all never happen.
Because he never available and your mom not around.
Yeah. And when she go around, only she coming, not he coming.
How much drugs have you witnessed in your time in school?
I witnessed plenty drugs, home by me by my father. That was like the spot. He and all his friends used to come and smoke. So, like I would see all kind of different symptoms. Men smoking, men crawling under bed, men smoking, taking off all the clothes, run out in the road. All kind of different things I see.
You talking about your schoolmates, right?
That is my father, and my schoolmates was just really marijuana. I growing up, men didn't really used to smoke like hard drugs. It was just a little marijuana, a little cigarette, a little alcohol. That was about it.
And the alcohol of choice most time was punching?
No, them days it wasn't really punching. It was like, it had a strong drink named like gin juice and thing. It wasn't really punching them days.
And that would be consumed in school as well as out of school?
In school, out of school. Plus sometimes my mother might send me to school. We go to school, we'll go river for the day. I had a bus pass, so if they give me money to travel, I take in and buy things to smoke. I go travel home with the bus.
Think about how many young men there are like that in our system right now spread across Trinidad and Tobago. And it's easy for young men like that to influence others, because remember, there are young people who growing up strict too as well. And they look at these guys and admire them, how they could
do what they want.
How they could do what they want. Yeah. Come to school with a book in their back pocket. They speak to people how they want. They go and come when they want. And there are some young people who admire that and
of course
would want to emulate that.
Yes, but they can't, because the environment they are in, there are consequences for certain actions.
Right, but it can be an infectious thing.
It can be, yes, of
Right?
course.
Right. So the influence. Now you will hear him speak about, he will go on further to explain this. Listen to this. Getting kicked out of school. What happened?
Remember, my mother used to fly out plenty. When she leave me and my father's school start back, I really had textbooks and things. So, a day my school teacher tell me, well, why ain't doing no homework and things? So I used to use the excuse that I don't have no textbook, so I can't do no homework. So she decided, out of good thoughts and whatever, she gave me some textbooks and tell me, well, hold on to these textbooks, do what you have to do your schoolwork, and when you finish, she wanted back. But me now, I wasn't really interested in schoolwork. So when she gave me the books, as I walk out school, I throw away the books one time. And then, well, at the next time now, she asked for the books and I didn't have it. And we end up in a dispute and I will come and get expelled from school.
You didn't have school book because?
Well, my mother used to buy school books, but when she in America, my father seen about my schooling and things. Remember, he smoking drugs, so he didn't have time to buy school books and them things.
Your father still alive?
No, he died from an overdose of drugs.
An overdose?
Yeah.
Apart from cocaine, did you see him do anything else?
Nah, just cocaine, marijuana, alcohol.
And you were witness to all of this. How did it make you feel?
When I first used to see it, I didn't really mind because I couldn't really understand it. Remember, I was young. As I started to get older now, and well, due to how we the upkeeping of the house and certain things, and then people tell me, oh, your father is a drug user and you will be just so too. And that way it really started to get to me that it was a problem. But in the early days, that was just like that my father do anything that wasn't, I never really used to pay mind to it like that until I actually get older and people started really break it down to me, your father on drugs, and all they can't paint all the house for Christmas. And well, when people start telling me that now, well, that is where now your self-esteem is really started to get break. You start to see yourself as less. Then well, growing up, nobody really telling you they love you and thing. I mean, they might have love you, but they ain't really telling you. And we never went no guess in school. We can't really guess that.
Never went no guess in school. And this is a reminder to parents. You bring children into the world, and it is your responsibility to take care of them, not to mold them into necessarily mini yous, because they are individuals in their own right. They're not your property. But it's your responsibility to care for them and to love them and to make sure they know they're loved as well. That, I mean, apart from all of the upbringing, the practical stuff, clothing, shelter, education, they have to know that they're loved.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking this morning about solutions from what we've learned so far and what we've heard so far from the University of the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service. These you're hearing from the young man we spoke with last Sunday on part 1 and part 2 about his life. And we want to thank the prison service for allowing us to do that. And he's speaking about drugs. Now, that's our forte here. We want to, and that's why I want to give Pundit Maharaj a history of how crack cocaine made its rounds in Trinidad and Tobago. That segment is for you, Pundit. So I hope somebody could call him and tell him. I wish we could get to interview him. But I don't think he respects us or will regard us that much. So I wouldn't even bother to pursue that. However, because I will ask him questions that other reporters refuse to ask him. So I'm going to ask him that this morning. Maybe they forgot, maybe they didn't know. Okay, but I have the questions I would like to ask Pundit Maharaj this morning and let him know there's a thing called the domino effect. And it catches us from year to year. Once that domino effect starts, it continues non-stop. And I will explain to you what I mean, Pundit. All right? Now, the pandemic, Natasha, we've lost, and people of Trinidad and Tobago, if you will agree, we lost even more people like John. Why?
Yes.
Because when he got the books, he threw them away. Why? Because his brain is not wired for that, or was not. And he did. So what's the point in even trying? Now, when classes were physically going, people like him would go to the back of the class. They don't ever sit in front. They go to the back.
Or just not go to the class at all.
Or just not go to the class at all.
Yeah.
Now, the pandemic now put everybody in the front seat. Because now you have to come on camera and everybody was facing the teacher.
Yeah.
So you couldn't hide.
Yep.
You know, they couldn't hide. So everybody's looking at John now when he used to sit in the back. Now everybody's seeing him in front now, and Miss ask him, so what is X, Y, and Z, ABC, and was he? And he would not be able to answer. He would be embarrassed. So drop out of school, or forget the books.
Yeah, that's an
Right?
important point that we don't still do. We know how many children we've lost as a result of COVID and school being online.
A lot of young men is what we see now here, because it's a preponderance of a whole lot of young men running around with guns in their hand now. Are these some of the young men we've lost during the pandemic?
Yep.
Did anybody try to find out that? Are these some of the young men that we've lost because they either could not access the online service?
Because they didn't have a device.
They didn't have a device.
Connectivity.
Right. And some of them had to use their mother's device. And you know, people are attached to their phones now. And that we lost a lot of young men and women because of the pandemic. Let us not forget that. So when it seems that you don't know where they're coming from, that's a crew. That's a crew that we've lost during the pandemic. Some of them, I'm sure of that. And so the last one now, let's go. How did he survive? This is another domino going to fall here now. Please pay attention to what he said. Let's go to the clip. So, John, you got kicked out of school. What did you do then? No passes, right?
Yeah, no passes. No.
So-
Yeah, I'm reading. I learned to read in jail.
So how are you surviving?
How were you? You got kicked out of school.
Well, we used to rob and do all kind of thing. That way it's called scraping. You didn't really have a good plan to say, well, we were running KFC. So we would just scrape, we would just walk the streets and catch a victim. A man might be on his cell phone, he might have a 200 in his pocket. The risk low, and he goes to survive today. Tomorrow we go handle it again. And it was kind of that day today. You know?
And the money that you all got, what did you do with the money?
Eat something, smoke drugs, till tomorrow.
And repeat the next day.
Yeah. Big man thing. You might have buy a clothes because something coming up if the money was enough, but more or less ain't him really buying clothes, it's just day to day. Buy some small to eat, not him really some too good just to carry it through the next day. You know? And it's just that drug, smoke, drink on the block, you drink something, man. And my life just going on the drain. Them youths and them ain't taking it serious because it come like same thing was going on with me as a youth. Yes, that to be real. You can't talk about no bees and no butterfly, because with bees and butterfly you doesn't explain the consequences in life. You need to explain that so they'll get a better picture and love too. You understand? You have to build people value and let them know that value in life, because without that, you ain't go caring.
Did you have friends leaving school with you in the same position?
Yeah, one or two, but due to my situation now, like when my mother around, she'll be like, you're following friends, but Israeli was friends following me. I was myself, I was my own bad company due to the freedom I was getting from down by my father. You know, I was kind of my own problem. So it wasn't really like, men wasn't really influencing me to do wrong. Most of the time is I was influencing men wrong my age to do wrong.
Right.
But what is going on? You just be a leader and a follower at the same time. But when I in school, I is them leader, because I know more than them. I know how to rap weed, I can clean weed. I know about this, I know about that. What them might know. But when I home on the block now, it has somebody I looking up to. So sometimes you might be telling your children now, you're following bad company. And you might think it's from in the school, you're learning that in school, when no, it's them might be the bad company, because I was the bad company.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
Due to how what was going home for me.
What about the children in the school, the young people in the school who were doing well, who were excelling? Did you have any kind of relationship or interaction with them? Was there any positive peer pressure in that sense?
Yeah, yes, I all kind of friends in school. You have friends who come in first in test, you have friends who come in last in test. You don't really discriminate when you're young.
Right.
Most get discrimination when you're young, just come off your sneakers. You have a bootleg or you have a name brand. Or one or two children who are living on your place old. But other than that, everybody's get along good. You could be the brightest boy in school as the dunces, and we still sit down as friends and eat lunch when the day comes. So, you know, I had friends home where I grew up. Used to be like, you have to change horse, you getting older, just now is big jail, you think you end up in jail.
Your father using cocaine, so he don't have time to give you money to go to school. When you get up, how would you go to school? Would you go to school hungry? How did you get money to eat?
Well, that is no way, you know. You start to become a little bully in school now. Because what again wasn't sufficient. So I had to find ways and means of handling my own sin. So I used to start to become a bully now. So I bully people in school and take the thing. That might be the money, the lunch.
Yep. This is how bullying starts, right? It's completely a survival mechanism, at least for John.
How many more Johns do we have in schools out there? How many? Do you all know how many J. Smiths we have out there? How many? Because he talk about let's talk about that, the bullying. The bullying is stem from him and others like him being hungry. Because I know you get up in the morning, your father on crack.
They didn't have no breakfast waiting for you.
You see them sleeping on the couch because from an all-night binge, or he might be in a room piping. You had to go to school. He obviously wouldn't have any money to give him. So he's leaving most of the time to school hungry, no money in his pocket. Thank God he had a bus pass. No. How is he going to be? You think he could concentrate when he's hungry in school? Well, it's not his fault. And what the mom said to him, he following bad company, and his response to me was brilliant. Is you all create the bad company? You know? By the way you all have me living.
Correct.
You all create the bad company.
Because he had no other choice. There are either young people, his peers, or other adults who he has to get some kind of guidance from.
You all created the bad company. Because you back and forth in America, and my father on drugs. What do you want me to do? How you expected me as a young man, as a child, to find my way through that?
An alternative, adult role model. Where is he going to find that?
Exactly. So, folks, I hope you all understand there are more like him out there.
Yes.
Lots more.
A lot.
Trust me. We get the phone calls. I mean,
But I'm wondering though, do people recognize, or they invested enough in this village raising the child concept that they would see a child go, or see a family going through something and not offer any assistance, or at least point them in a direction where they maybe could get help? Or
remember we got a story about a 9-year-old living with a man in a old house.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So again,
yes,
mothers and fathers out there creating people like this young man, and whether directly or unconsciously, they are doing it, because your mother leaving you with a crack addicted father can't spell anything good coming out of that.
And then she probably had no choice in that matter. I'm sure she would have loved to have put her son in a stable environment. But what alternative did she have to send him by his father?
He learned to read in jail. In prison, where he learned to read. And you heard what he said about scraping, because they go out, and so this is what we're going to show you next after this break.
And we learn, and this is a teenager we're talking about, At that point in time, he was scraping as a teenager. We know that teenagers are not adults. Their brains are not fully formed. They don't know about the world and what it could do to you. So for a teenager to say he is scraping through life, what do we expect him to turn out to be?
And this is the product that goes through the court system and goes to the prison.
From police to court to prison.
And so anytime, his mother and father start this, but then we will ask the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of National Security to fix that. But we never go back. Let's go back to the genesis. Let's go back to the foundation. I keep saying it's time we have camps for parents. These vacation camps that they have for children. Let's do a couple for parents, because there are a number of parents who have their children scraping right now. And they're using drugs in front of them in the home. They don't care. And when these children tell us what they're experiencing at home, I feel sad knowing that I will walk out of that room leaving those children who going back to the same environment. So we can't blame the police service now has to come and clean this up.
No. And worse yet for those children who, imagine you're a child with a disability and this is your circumstance. If you're a child who is queer or gay and this is your circumstance, how are they navigating the world with these additional disadvantages? Especially this world in Trinidad and Tobago. If you have a disability, crap, you'll smoke your pipe, you know.
So, folks, I hope you're taking notes because in the next hour we'll take your calls, right, to hear your thoughts. Now, we're going to take this break, and when we return, I'm going to show you something that I would have done when I was smoking cocaine. A guy stealing a door in the dead of night. A guy who snatched a purse. Well, thankfully, I didn't snatch a purse, but I took some money out of a purse in San Fernando General Hospital, and that was a whole scene in San Fernando that morning until ended up in CID on the promenade after they caught me, and my schoolmate had to fingerprint me. She wasn't having a good time doing that. She didn't have a good time doing that. She was crying while fingerprinting me. Imagine a police officer crying while doing fingerprint. That tell you that's how much it hurt a lot of people where I reached to. You all feel I wanted to do that because I didn't have any ambition? Come on, people, I want you to think. You think I just woke up one day in the military and say, okay, well, everybody say I'm one of the best instructors in the defense force in that era, so let me start to smoke cocaine now and enjoy myself? It didn't work. It don't work like that.
Before we cut, I just wanted to address this comment here on YouTube on the Mud one. Nats don't make excuses for women. She was as delinquent as his father. There's always a way. Of course, there's always a way. She did not know what that way was. This was her only alternative. We don't know. I mean, as far as we understand in terms of the family dynamic, his brothers, his half-brother's father was a different father to his. So I don't think that was an option to send him by the other child father. And clearly she didn't have any other relatives that she could have sent him to. Otherwise he probably would have gone there.
No, on the other hand, I know there are mothers like that who went to the United States and sent for the same child.
Yes.
And they go up there and get involved in crime up there, and they're now deported.
Yes, correct.
So there's again.
But so what would you suggest on the Mud one? That he go into a group home, she give him up for adoption, send him to live where? You're saying there's always a way, but there's not always a way if you do not have the means to find that way. She is literally in the dark, trying to keep her family together and trying to do the best she can for her son.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are seeking answers here this morning from the University of the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service. And
UTTPS?
It is a university. I guarantee you that. And after this break, I want to address Pundit Maharaj now. So I'll show you. Let's talk about the substance abuse part of it now and where it all started, Pundit. I want to educate you with this one. All right? So for those of you who are listening, we'll try to describe it for you. But this is what a drug addict does. In the dead of night when everybody's sleeping, or depends on how strong that craving is, it can happen in broad daylight. You will see what we're talking about when we return. Right here on our Dependency. Stay right there.
Ah boy. Feel like I'm gonna buy myself a señorita tonight.
Nah. You know you might be promoting slavery.
Slavery? Mm-hmm. What are you talking about?
Hey, modern day slavery or human trafficking is just what some of these people just do. You know some of these women were tricked to come here. Some are held against their will, abused, and even beaten. Most times the girls don't even see any of the money that is paid for them. And every night, they just have to come out looking nice and sexy for somebody like you. Human trafficking is a serious problem and a serious crime. Persons who solicit commercial sex services may be contributing to human trafficking.
A message from the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Hello. Hi, this is Patricia Kent from HMP London. Can I speak to Miss Sheila, please?
This is Miss Sheila.
Hi, I've got an important call for you. Please hold the line. Mommy, it's Sherry.
Oh God, Sherry, we looking for you all the time. 3 weeks now. Where you going?
Mommy, according to Talia, I get locked up. I had drugs in my luggage and I'm in England right now. In jail.
Oh God, Sherry, what? What you do? How you reach there? Oh God, how we gonna go?
Oh God, Mommy, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. It'll be alright. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on Eye.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency, and you're tuned in on I-95.5 FM as well as on Facebook and YouTube.
And thank you, folks. And George Leacock, thank you for joining us. I'm really glad that you did, because I want to talk about Tobago in a while. So thank you. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. And so, the Pundit Maharaj, I listened to you. I listened to several responses. And let's start with this. You see, drugs play a very important part too in what the situation we're in today, both in Trinidad and Tobago.
Drugs and alcohol.
Right, drugs and alcohol. Well, I don't like to say drugs and alcohol. Let's say alcohol and other drugs. That's what I like to say. Because some people don't tend to believe that alcohol is a drug.
True.
Right? Any mood or mind-altering substance is a drug. Gotcha. Remember that. Now, the first drug came to Trinidad and Tobago, Pundit, was marijuana. Who brought it? I sure don't have to answer that for you. You know who?
Yes.
The indentured laborers.
Correct.
Marijuana was sold in shops here.
Yes.
Like normal.
Yes, correct. My father can attest to that. It was sold in his uncle's shop in Rio Claro.
Normal.
Yep.
Until the United States decided to declare it a dangerous drug. And that's when everything changed, right? Okay, so that was the first. We didn't bring that. The Indian people brought it to Trinidad and Tobago. Secondly, and as I said in the piece that I addressed you on Facebook, allow me to fix it for you, right? The irresponsible, inaccurate, divisive, evil, selfish, sick, and twisted comment to me as an elder, a religious leader in our society, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I went on to ask you, you see, I was patiently waiting for someone to jump out after the 3 members of the Indian family got killed. They executed, by the way, points to note, take into consideration what I know of the underworld. 3 males from one family don't just get executed in that manner, just for fun. Trust me. They take nothing. They took nothing from them. Just bam, 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 and bust it. That too just happened for fun. Unless they're initiating gang members. That is. But that don't happen for fun. But that's a matter for the police. Now, over the years, we've lost so many brothers and sisters. And I've never heard anything come from your community asking my brothers and sisters, please, or take it down. Stop killing yourselves. You know, before I forget, the ratio of African to Indian in our prison service as inmates, 60-40. 40% Indian, 60% African. And the Indian not selling food in prison. They're not there because they have hardware and grocery. They're there for a crime they committed.
Correct.
Understand that. Now, the individual, and let's get this record straight, the individual who introduced and mass-produced crack cocaine in Trinidad and Tobago was not of African descent. He and his people, apart from killing an entire family, became the Pablo Escobar of the Caribbean. He made sure before his untimely passing that crack cocaine was spread across the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. We are still paying the price for his astute entrepreneurship to this day.
And his multi-million-dollar enterprise.
Not forgetting Joey Ramaya, Narish. They too were part together. They committed mass genocide in Trinidad and Tobago. Please try to keep focused that when crack cocaine was brought to Trinidad and Tobago was for a reason. They knew the power of that drug. And when you talk about generational wealth, let me remind you that a lot of businesses got startup funds from that same Pablo Escobar of the Caribbean, from Pinal to Princestown. Big, majestic buildings. That is where some of the generational wealth some people have that you talk about came from. Because when he died, some of these people thought that they would have gotten away with repaying the debt. They had another thought coming. That is another story by itself. The thing is, once crack cocaine hit Trinidad and Tobago, it changed the landscape of Trinidad and Tobago for good. Because when people wanted to blame Abu Bakr for really the escalation of crime in Trinidad and Tobago, it went before him. It started before him. Macandal Daga in 1970 stood in Woodford Square and warned Trinidad and Tobago, some cool children, that is, that a white devil was coming to Trinidad and Tobago and is going to turn this place upside down. And so it did. Ask every community pundit, from Penal to Cedros to Caranage, once crack cocaine, what the communities were before and after crack cocaine hit. Because crack cocaine was designed to hook people. It was designed to turn people into monsters. Now, you didn't expect probably that, or not you, sorry, but they didn't expect probably that some of their own folks would get caught up in it. Because the drug of choice for especially the East Indian community was alcohol. Not forgetting that. But the crack cocaine spread so far and wide that it met us in a protected environment, which was the military. What you are seeing now, Pundit, is from generation to generation that addiction was passed on. As a reporter, I would have asked you, how many people of African descent pushing drugs in your community? How many? You think I could come and set up a drug block in Aranguez or El Socorro? No, I can't. I wouldn't be allowed to. So who's selling the drugs to these miscreants? And when some of your children go to prison, some of them need protection. So they have to talk things that they're not supposed to talk about. That is how some of them know, how some of their friends know how to find you and find your friends. So when I saw the 3 people got executed, I didn't see three Indian brothers. I saw citizens of Trinidad and Tobago being executed. I didn't go there at all. So when you jump out and you said that, I said, but where are you going with this? I am seeing citizens getting executed for a drug trade that we allowed. It started off as a cub, and it turned into a Bengal tiger. And George Leacock in Tobago, we won Tobago as well. We tried twice to do outside broadcast, simulcast with Tambrin, and the twice we failed. I won't go into details, but you, George Leacock, knew very well that since Mr. Ho Choi Charles was the chief secretary, we have been warning Tobago that a tsunami is going to hit you all and it's going to change the face of Tobago for good.
No, but we're trying to get involved in Tobago business.
Of course, and they wrote letters, although we proved to you all, the first son of Tobago soil we interviewed was in a prison in the United Kingdom. In Wandsworth prison to be exact. He was working for the airline in Trinidad, in Tobago, where he was giving women drugs passed on from somebody else, of course, and outfitting women with different paraphernalia to traffic drugs. And he was caught by the serious organized crime agency at the time from the UK. That's now the National Crime Agency.
Correct.
We had the privilege to interview them too. So, Pundit, The people who start destroying our communities was not of African descent. And
drugs, no, this cocaine that he's talking about, it doesn't discriminate based on race, you know.
No.
It has no discriminator by race. The only discrimination that is allowed in this whole mess that is the drug trade is the amount of money that people make from it, and the hoops that poor people have to go through to escape.
So stop the pious and sanctimonious behavior. Naim, Naya, and Teddy Mice was Naya for fire, Mice for ice. That was the catchphrase for them. And
Naya for fire
and mice for ice. Yeah. And Naya used to put people, big men, like the bark in dog cages, put them in kennels, and have them bark like dogs just to get cocaine. So when that hit, man, it spread like wildfire. And what you see now are generations of crack users coming up the road. Now, you heard what John said. When my day was spent just like that. We wake up in the morning, and my quest was to beg, borrow, or steal. And let's go to the video now, short man. Tell me what you think this guy going to do with this door. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we gonna step on the gas now. Just stay with us. See if you could follow. Short man, go to the video.
This is Port of Spain, maybe?
Maybe it's Port of Spain, but he is about to steal
it's a storefront.
Right. I don't know how he managed to see the opening, but we were good like that. Remember, you prowling late in the night and we haven't enough time.
There's a side street somewhere. But,
yeah.
But it's a storefront, right? It's a shop, right?
Right. This guy is stealing now.
I don't know how, but I still not understanding how you have a storefront selling things because he take out the door and it's fully in plastic.
Right. And he's running.
There's no door to prevent people from getting in. Like
on his head, and he going with it. Where do you think he going with that?
It is still wrapped in plastic.
Folks, where do you think he's going with that door that he just stole there?
Where he going with it?
He going straight by the pusher with that. Because the pusher will take that. That is what pushers do. If you don't have money, we barter. So
exchange goods for crack cocaine.
Yes. That's how it is. And that is what we are seeing out there. But you see, we're not trying to collect that data.
Right.
So when these guys are arrested, they just go through the system and come back out. Go through the system, come back out.
And nobody's asking who he would have given the door to, where the door end up, and going and knocking on somebody's door.
As if he got caught.
Well,
as if he got caught.
We don't know.
You know, but I hope the owner would realize he has a breach in his security there. And
a serious breach, because if you could pull a whole door through a grill, it looks like a gate.
Right.
I wonder if there's I don't know if there's a business or a house, but
next video, short man.
This is really. But then again, Garth, what the drug pusher who receives this door, where is he going with that? He gonna use it in his house, or he's gonna sell it?
Yes, or sell it, because he could sell it for more than he got it. But that door is about $2. Maybe it's a new, it's in plastic.
Yeah.
So he could probably get $2.25 for that, which is maybe like $50, maybe $60 now. I don't know what's the price now, but that is what you'll get for that. That door costs about maybe a good $800-900.
Yeah.
But that's how it works. This video here now.
Run it again, please. Yes. So this is a alleged purse snatcher who was arrested by police. It's a very short video, but there's not much information around it, so we can only go by.
I actually found out what this was, and he's a drug addict, snatcher purse, and they caught him eventually. Remember, I give you the story of how I stole this woman's money in San Fernando General Hospital and caused a big parade on Broadway until I was caught finally. And imagine I running away from these people, and I actually on top of me, like floating over me, watching this whole scenario. And it was so surreal to know that I could go from one of the one of the respected instructors, physical training instructors in the Defense Force, to being chased
through the streets of San Fernando.
Of my hometown.
Yeah.
Through the streets of my hometown, you know.
Because you stole
Because
money
I stole somebody's money. And I was just prowling the hospital to see who would be vulnerable. And there it was, a handbag on a table. And I opened it, saw this envelope thick with blue notes, and I took off with it. Is one of my schoolmates who worked there at the time, Martha, and love Martha, family, his friend, you know, we grew up together. She did what she had to do. She called the lady and said, hey, your bag was, I now see my schoolmate pass there, you know, and you're on drugs. Well, that's probably how the conversation went. And before you know it, before I reach out to the promenade, I was hearing behind me, thief, thief, security, thief, thief. And that's where the race started. That wasn't easy. No, so when I saw this picture, I understood this guy, because he's a drug addict and this is what he needs to heal and fix that craving.
Yeah.
Right? So
you have a great set of teeth there, though. His teeth
yeah,
are perfect.
Probably he now started. Probably he just started using drugs.
I guess.
You know, but this is the now the cocaine, now the combination of cocaine now is 99% chemical and 1% cocaine. This is what these guys getting hooked on out there now. Remember, two folks, there was a flood of what we call Zessa pills that invaded the society or that became popular. There are those who would pop those pills and walk away, and there are those who will need it every single day. Is $100 for one of those pills. Now, if you happen to have an employee working in the bank, a cashier, somebody dealing with accounts, they hooked on gambling, they will do one thing: try to get money as much as possible. Let's go to this other video quickly, please. Short man.
Yeah, this is one lady recounting.
Ladies and gentlemen, something just happened to me in Scarborough, Tobago. If everybody know by now, I am a Tobagonian. And today probably could have been one of the worst days of my life. And it's a good thing I heavily protected too at the same time. We're going to see people and leave people alone. Leave people alone. I digress. I decided to take this day to handle some business that I've been putting off for some weeks. And the objective was go to Bank A, withdraw a certain amount of money and put it in another account that I have at a different B. So we'll call that Bank B. Now, Scarborough, Tobago, if you know Scarborough well, there are at least 4 banks within the close vicinity of each other. So if it is that it's too much of traffic or you just feel to walk, you could simply go to Bank A, go to Bank B, wherever, and you don't even have to be in a vehicle, right? I digress. Called into school. Hey, I'm coming a little bit late, whatever, I have some business at the bank I need to handle. I went to the Bank A, parked up my vehicle first, went to Bank A, completed my first transaction. From Bank A to Bank B is probably about a 2.5 minute walking distance. I said, alright, cool. Now while I'm closer to the Bank B, right, where I'm going to do the second transaction, something comes to my head, the thought comes to my head. Hey, hurry up and see, you know how best you could finish so you could go to school and your day's pay wouldn't be cut in half, at least. Entered into Bank B, continuing my second transaction. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm walking out of my Bank B, or the Bank B rather, I get a phone call. Now, I saw someone that I knew, not a friend, not a colleague, just acquaintanceship over the years of attending the bank, right? Built up an acquaintance with one of the tellers, and is the teller I see calling me. I said, hey, whatever, don't forget the little small talk. I just wanted to see if it was Mark safe now, boy. What do you mean Mark safe? Well, you know, there are some people and things who get robbed and things, whatever, as soon as I come out from the bank, whatever. We're going to talk and I'll show you certain things. Stick up in that. Because I now deal with that freaking young woman. Because you know, she a part of a network where people is robbing people from the bank. I ain't finished yet. Proceeding out of bank to come over the phone with the young woman. Proceeding on from bank to looking to cross the road to go to my vehicle, to jump in my vehicle, to return to work, to go to work rather. And I closing my door, ladies and gentlemen. The man come and stop my car, no. Just like that. Where the money is, give me the money is, don't cause no scene. I said, well, you know who is me, so I come out of my car. When I come out of my car now, when he realized who he's dealing with, or whatever the situation is, you see the vibration that I'm pushing. The gentleman decided that he going to run off. I don't know what happening, But whatever scheme all the bank tell us running in Trinidad and Tobago, to be very, very careful. Don't play.
Don't play.
Now, to all banks in Trinidad and Tobago, we know what we know.
Yes.
You all, by now, this is the third video somebody put out on experience with their tellers. And we always wondered, how come?
How these things keep happening and
but
nobody is fingering anybody in the bank. Because how do the bandits know who to target?
now, if there's any bank in Trinidad and Tobago that does not have an addict, gambling addict, alcoholic, crack addict, in your bank, you have a convent. And even in convent, people just fall short.
Correct.
So, we have approached many banks already when we got calls and stories from people. And you all refused. You all told us, nah, we good. We've also approached insurance companies where we got stories from people.
This is with drug education.
Yes, with drug education. We approached you all to do it because, you see, what I know about substance abuse, I did not read in a book. I actually experienced it. So we put this model together and we offered it to corporate Trinidad and Tobago, and everybody good. But we know that there are people in your institutions that need help, but banks don't do that because they don't want their reputation be sullied by having employees or hiring people who will steal. You cannot stop that. I guarantee you cannot stop that. And these employees, some of them, they hang in high circles. So when they hang in high circles, they get top-class drugs to use too as well. So we have them in every institution in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is where now we have to start.
And they also maybe targets themselves because they are working in an institution
right.
dealing with money. So people will target them to be accomplices in these charades.
We have people with addiction issues spread across Trinidad and Tobago. And it's time we take our heads out of the sand and add that to the equation. Substance abuse fueling some of the crimes in Trinidad and Tobago here. And we have to now figure out how to get around this. One is the drug treatment facility again. Get it started in the prison again. It was shut down. And for what reason, I don't know, because look what you have people doing to themselves. Let's go to video L. And you will see cocaine. It's the first time I've seen this.
Same.
And Natasha and I have seen a lot. Since the 20 years we're doing this. But let's go to that. Look what some authorities
in Colombia
found.
Discovered.
In the year of Africa.
Doña Yolanda, voy entonces a proceder a este elemento.
Little, at least an inch long and thick. Right? The police officer is now going in. Look at this. A whole 3-4 rows of pellets in the weave. Rows. She's gonna play it one more time so you can see.
Yeah.
And you see how natural. You saw the first shot. It looked very natural. You wouldn't think she has anything going on underneath that weave. But come to find out that these drug traffickers are very ingenious, you know. They will find a way to move their drugs.
So you see, Pundit, this is what fueling what we see here now. It's just that it's not simply as miscreants from the East-West Corridor wants to visit you. It's opportunity now. All right? That's all it is, opportunity. And now, back then we didn't use guns. But now guns are available. So it's easier now to get something off of someone. And these guys not doing like us when they walk around begging and all of that and going by the neighbor and say, you know, mommy sent me for $50 borrow. And next thing you know, it's a whole trail line of people showing up by my mother door saying she sent me for money borrow. My mother have a clue what I'm talking about. And so if you have somebody working in a bank who is hooked on cocaine, gambling especially, that is hunting in the zoo for them. When you catch them, all you do is simply fire them. What happens after that? Why isn't the bank making a statement on the videos that have been released this week and assuring the public that we have nothing to worry about, that you're on top
that
of your
you're
game?
safe when you do transactions in the institution.
Come on. Which teller you going up to that teller now and you probably wondering if this teller connected to the underworld or if they hooked on some substance and will maybe stealing your money or will tell somebody when you withdraw money. We have approached you all. Don't say we have not. Don't say we have not. We warned you all. Okay? We're moving on. Our dream, Trinidad and Tobago, let's show you this police service, this unit in our police service that we would like to see happen here. Let's go quickly to that because we really want to hear from you this morning. And I still have to address the Chief Justice and the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago and the opposition. Let's go to that quickly.
That's just an image, so we just...
Police officer held with quantity of drugs just last evening in Tobago. This is from our Liz Williams report. We wait to hear more on that.
And
again,
also the girlfriend, the individual's girlfriend, who is a civilian port employee, was also detained.
Okay. Now, remember we did a story for you here of a lady we interviewed in London who told us she got her drugs from who? An airport security officer in uniform.
Yep.
To put around her waist.
Yep.
We have them everywhere, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and we have offered our service. Don't say we didn't. All right? Because I know what, you see, you can read all about drugs how much you want, and you can Google what you want. But you see, once you never went on a journey or had drugs carry you on a journey, you will never be able to understand that side of it. This is what I'm bringing to the table. And I know how an intense craving works. That when I was arrested in the military, given 42 days detention to bar, I planned to escape custody, and I did. You're not understanding what I'm saying here. You don't understand craving. I was arrested. I was doing time in Tetron Barracks guard room, and came up with a plan to escape, and I did. I failed the first time because they had dogs prowling, and I didn't want to take no chance. So the second time they came in the hospital, I jumped through a window and leave 2 RPs standing in the hospital guarding a bench. That's what craving is. You think I didn't understand I was going to throw my career away? But I had a choice between the craving and the loyalty. Craving always beats loyalty, folks. Take it from me.
Cocaine is a powerfully addictive drug. And you will go to the ends of... Thankfully, God didn't perform any violent acts on anybody else or harm himself or others. But cocaine is a powerfully addictive drug. It alters your brain.
And there are children using it today. They are unscrupulous characters giving people what they think is just a simple marijuana joint, but they get a black cigarette to smoke. That's how they hook in the children now. You don't have to believe us enough. So let's go to the video end. Quickly, please.
The disturbing video comes from the inside of an emergency room.
What's that?
And a woman screaming, a burn unit nurse who is being arrested by a Salt Lake City police officer.
That's from next door.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing that?
Sorry, but
sorry,
playing the video now.
Happened in July. But now the district attorney says he wants a criminal investigation.
Yes, she doesn't. Salt Lake City Police.
University of Utah nurse Alex Wubble.
Are you getting audio, folks? Could you tell us if you're getting audio on this video? What we're going to show you here is a nurse getting arrested. Arrested for doing her job, but the police officers, they have a job too. And they wanted to get a blood sample. Let's follow the story. Let's go again.
Severely burned. His truck smashed by a car racing from police, according to local media. Bubbles calmly explains the policy for obtaining blood.
There's 3 things that allow us to do that, or if you have an electronic warrant, patient consent, or patient under arrest. And neither of those things, the patient can't consent.
She even gets her supervisor on the phone, who backs her up. The tension only escalates.
She's the one that has told me no. Okay. No, we're done. We're done. You're under arrest. We're going. We're done.
Salt Lake City's police chief apologized and said what happened was unacceptable.
I was alarmed by what I saw in the video. I want to be very clear. We take this very seriously.
For now, Wubbles isn't filing a lawsuit.
I feel very strongly in giving people the benefit of the doubt. And I truly believe that he was honest in his apology and sincere in his willingness to try and make change and make things better.
Police released Wubbles without charges that day after she sat in the police car for 20 minutes. Detective Payne said in a written report that his watch commander advised him to arrest the nurse for interfering with a police investigation. Payne and another officer now on administrative leave as internal investigators look into this startling incident. Dan Simon, CNN, Salt Lake City.
Now, why we played this for you? Remember, you always hear us talking about this unit we hope the police service would have. Yes, the officer was a little overhanded. The nurse
a
too.
lot overhanded.
Right. The nurse too was doing her job because there's a procedure, as you heard, she outlined, how you can access blood from a victim or a perpetrator in some cases. But there's a unit assigned to do that because what they do, they try to collect data one time if this person was driven by anything. Remember, we have crystal meth out there now, right? We have Molly. We have the LSD, ecstasy. We don't know what driving people now. So what they do, they have a unit that they go and they take blood from the person and do a test. I mean,
once you bring the person to medical aid, to a hospital or clinic or whatever it is, you rely on the medical professionals to do that for you.
Okay.
And then you gather that information from them once the patient is stabilized, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But let the medical professionals do their work. I don't think they need a special unit to do that.
Okay, but then there must, that medical professional or professionals should work in tandem with the police service then and do the test, collect the data and hand it over to the police.
Yes,
what about that?
They're supposed to work in tandem, yes.
We need to know because right now we're flying blind. And I'm tired of flying blind.
Agreed.
Let us know what's driving people to do what they did. Remember, there's cause and effect.
Just as how if a teenager goes into the hospital to make a baby, the hospital authorities should alert the police. The same applies here to my mind.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. And we are discussing lessons that can be learned from what we heard from the two prisoners we interviewed. And now I'm going to address the opposition first. Again, we live in a house with quarreling every day. We heard what Bob Marley said about that. You wake up and you quarrel every day. We're saying prayers to the devil. We are saying prayers to the devil. And we have an opposition that continues to pull in another direction while the government going in one direction. So they're pulling apart from each other. Now, I want to remind them again that part of the contribution to crime in Trinidad and Tobago were the dismantling of institutions that were provided to save people like the guy we just heard from and the young lady. The dismantling started with the youth camps. And then the CCC was interfered. You all didn't know that. The CCC was shut down already by the UNC government. And the my part was separated from the MyLAT program. That was going good. Because the military youth program of apprenticeship and reorientation, which is the my part, they would have produced people with vocational skills. They shut that down. We had a drug treatment facility in the prison that we advocated for. It started under Mr. Manning. From the time they came in again, they shut it down. Why? I don't know. Well, I mean,
we know.
The director had something to do with that, Ms. Bagan.
Yes.
But again, politics got in the way of citizens' lives.
Yes.
Then they went after SORT. SORT was dismantled as SAUTT, the OPVs, and there was sailors training in the UK to man these vessels for years. We've lost hundreds of millions of dollars on that deal because, again, that was shut down. Till when they dismantled SORT, the soldiers now, some of them had to be absorbed into the police service. Some of them retired now and have not even gotten the money that they were supposed to get because of this dismantling of them and scattered everybody all over the place. Then,
can I say one thing in their favor? Oh, go ahead.
No.
No, I was just going to say one thing in their favor, and one thing I think they got right was to separate the responsibilities of the Ministry of National Security and create a Ministry of Justice.
Well, we saw how that turned out. Because the same Ministry of Justice I was just going to touch on, when we introduced prison radio to this country, who tried to shut it down? Crystal Moore. And Mr. Volney was the one who saw the vision and decided to do it. But Crystal Moore, aided and abetted by people in that ministry at the time.
Politics trumps the...
Make hog food of it.
Yeah, the politics trumps the actual progress that I was speaking about earlier.
Okay, there you go. So, and she said, Mr. Volney should have never sanctioned prison radio. He don't know nothing about media. That was the Minister of Justice at the time's response.
Yes.
So they too try to destroy a tool to fix people.
Yep.
So I'm not giving them any credit for it because we have to fight to keep the prison radio where it is today. She wanted to shut it down. And you could remember how rude and disrespectful she was to us.
Yes.
Good. So, folks, now finally, the Chief Justice. As I said, we are stakeholders. Every time you all speak, you consider stakeholders are people. Could you repeat what stakeholders for listeners who just joining us, Natasha?
Stakeholders is individuals and or organizations that have a stake in the objectives, goals, mission of a particular institution. In this case, it's the judiciary.
Good.
We are stakeholder of many institutions in this country. The judiciary is one. They are involved in dispensing justice for crimes, drug trafficking, drug use, possession of certain paraphernalias are crimes, drug abuse and its related ills are what Iron Dependency deals with. Hence, Iron Dependency is a stakeholder of the judiciary.
The judiciary and the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago, by extension, have asked the Minister of National Security to apologize. Minister, yeah, we could encourage you to apologize if you feel like you're your old man, you know what you're going to do. However, before you apologize, even if you plan to, we on Iron Dependency would like to humbly ask the judiciary to apologize for these things. Because you see, there is this sort of air above you all coming from the judiciary that I don't understand at times. You have good ones among you. You always hear me praise Magistrate Diop and Justice Lisa Ramsey-Hind for taking a guy off the street, sending him to the drug treatment courts. Now he's a counselor today. Yep. And I always remember for that. I love her for doing that. But how many of us, try to do
those judges and magistrates don't get the big airplay that some others do, eh?
Right.
For the work that they are doing on the bench.
For the work that they are doing. However, we have a situation here, Chief Justice, where we don't you think it's time we get an apology from the judiciary, especially the Dana Sitahal's family? It's been 9 years. 9 years. Nothing. What about the remand prisoners who are there for 15, 17, 19, 20 years? What about them?
And their families.
What about apologizing to the grannies, the moms, the daughters who visit that prison almost religiously to take care of someone on remand for the last 19 years and have not seen the face of a judge? I've never heard any apology coming from the judiciary to these families.
Nope.
What about the thrown out human trafficking cases recently?
Yes. The victims,
what about that? What about the victims? Yes. Did an apology come to the counter trafficking unit and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and other units have involved who work assiduously night and day, even Christmas Day, to bring perpetrators of human trafficking to justice and then just watch them walk free? Did we ever get an apology to those people? The Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the families are at the mercy of unscrupulous lawyers. You've heard the voice of many people scream and cry out about the unscrupulous ways some lawyers treat them and what they've done to them.
Yep.
Take Ricardo Stevenson's mother, for instance, folks. You all heard how long we've been interviewing Ricardo Stevenson's family, right? Ricardo Stevenson has been in prison now for the last 17 years. His mother started going up there. They were so confident that some justice was going to prevail in that matter, she built an annex for him, waiting for him to come home. 17 years later, the mother cannot even recognize her own son. So when the father and her go to look for him now in the prison, the father had to explain to her who that is we talking to.
Wow.
She cannot even recognize Ricardo now, Chief Justice. This is a strong lady, huge lady, who traversed that road to Golden Grove.
And never gave up on her son.
Never gave up on her son. You know, she cannot recognize her own child now, Chief Justice, because she has dementia. Who apologized to her? And so many other mothers like her. Did they get an apology?
Nope.
From you or anybody else in the judiciary, Chief Justice?
Nope.
No, they didn't. And you know, who apologizing to the prison officers now, who must deal with errant prisoners, especially those on remand? Every time they go to court, after waiting how many months, they hear the 5 minutes and case cancelled. I mean, case postponed to another date. Sometimes 3-4 months later. These same prisoners now have to go back and work. These prison officers have to take them back there in their state and pray not to die. Have you ever apologized to the prison service for what they're dealing with on a daily basis? Remember that Marcia Air Caesar fiasco? What happened to them? Did anybody ever apologize to their families? You see, we have to stop concentrating on the killing that's going on in the streets alone. You all killing too. There are a lot of killing going on off the streets in this country, because when you kill somebody's hopes and dreams of coming out of prison and a child to see their father, that's killing too. You all don't understand that, but it don't seem like that to you.
It's violence. That's what it is.
But that's bloodless killing.
Yep.
And a lot of bloodless killing going on in this country right now. So we ain't just blood spilling in the street. We have okay. If Ricardo mother, without wishing, passes away tomorrow, please God, the autopsy wouldn't say it's because the judiciary kept her son in prison for 17 years and I think he had faced about 7 judges already. You know. There are people who've never seen the face of a judge. The autopsy won't say that, you know. The autopsy says she died from natural causes or depression. But they will never say it's because of grieving.
At the hands of?
A slow justice system. So, you all want the minister to apologize for that one statement he made? Well then, try and remember Patrick Jagasa. How he ended up in prison. There's a lawyer in prison right now. Can't remember his name, but he was charged with trying to kill a witness. He's in prison now. He appealed the case and they pelt him right back inside the jail. Listen, nobody in this country is perfect. And we're not asking you all to be perfect. I know we're not worthy of sitting with the Chief Justice and asking a few questions. But, thank God, we have this privilege here. This is not a right we have here. This is a privilege that we take very seriously. And we are not here to embarrass or disrespect anyone. But we have a problem with the slow pace of justice in Trinidad and Tobago, which in truth and in fact is contributing to the crime situation as well. Because people out there have to rub to get the boys and them thing to eat in prison. They have to rub to take care of the lawyers. They're doing that for them in some cases. Who contributing to that? The slow justice system. So what right does an individual have to perish in prison for 19 years without seeing the face of a judge, without an explanation from the judiciary, or an apology to his family, especially if they're innocent? Come on. Come on. Let's try and reverse the roles here now, people. Come on.
It's about accountability and taking responsibility for what is your responsibility. It's as simple as that. And we have an epidemic of that in Trinidad and Tobago. Everybody's pointing fingers. It's not my fault. It's your fault. It's their fault. And we don't expect this from institutions like the judiciary. We don't expect this from officers of the court or of government. Take responsibility for what is your responsibility. Responsibility is a my father taught me this. Is a combination of two things. The ability to respond How able have the judiciary been to respond to what is placed on their docket? Have they been able to respond? They haven't. In many, many cases. And people are suffering, families are suffering, and people are languishing in jail for no reason.
And putting the prison officers' lives at risk.
Correct.
Having trafficking, you contributing to the trafficking too, you know. Don't feel the judiciary not contributing indirectly to the trafficking in prisons too, you know. You are. Let's be real here. Because the longer a person stays off the streets without a drug of choice, they will want it in prison. Get them out of the prison system. Use the drug treatment courts. Come on, folks, let's do something. We keep saying we all in this together. Well, then let's act like it, please. So we have a lot of apologies to come this week, right? But I will urge the minister to hold on his apology until we hear something from the banks and, of course, the judiciary for the slow pace of justice in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yep.
And then we could move on and try to solve this problem. All right? We're going to take a break and we come back with your calls. And, one more thing before I go, Chief Justice. You know, sometimes we look at a person's dwelling place and see how it's unkempt. And we vow never to eat anything from them. Well, if you walk down the steps of the Hall of Justice and go across in Woodford Square and take a look at the Hall of Justice, and do a recce around the building, and tell me what you think. If the outside is unclean, you think we'll get clean justice on the inside?
Oh.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with your calls. Stay right there. Around the building, and tell me what you think. If the outside is unclean, you think we'll get clean justice on the inside?
Go, Sona. I come in. And don't give me no attitude there.
You have Shiana manners, boy. I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them. Scope them out. See if they have low self-esteem. Family problems, you know? Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to the problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice.
Look one right here. Try thing now.
A message from the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Staying with us, so we're in the last 20 minutes of Eye on Dependency. Thank you again to those of you joining us on I95.5 and on Facebook and YouTube. It's
What
your
did you
time
learn?
now.
What did you learn from what you heard? You have a minute to call us at 622-3937 and tell us. Anything that we outlined here this morning, the domino effect as we described, what would you say? Is it real? Is it a problem that we should be looking at? Should we have a camp for parents? And because we have a lot of young people making children now, and your geographical location has a lot to do with it, folks. There are people, there's a thing called predisposition as well.
And also, contrary to certain statements made in the recent past, poverty is a factor in criminal activity.
622-3937. Good morning.
God.
Morning.
I like to get on your show, and I want to congratulate you for the work you're doing. What is it? Hold on a minute. I see you don't want to check the break. Jesus Christ.
Shucks. Take your time.
Oh, good. Yeah, you should break down with me, yes?
Oh,
Anyhow, yeah, I'm on the ground.
That point you are the heavy boy.
Yeah.
So, in our chat, don't understand all. The furniture they're making now,
oh, God.
ain't like a long time. Long time they're making furniture, they used to put a nail in it and they put the glue. They ain't doing that again.
Oh,
they just put you in the glue, with the heat, everything was taken. Yeah, back to your program. Now, what they're saying there, I've been making a announcement long time. I'm 78 years old. I do jury service 3 times. Listen to that, yeah? What I noticed during my jury service, I had to reach the court for 8 o'clock. Otherwise, when 9 o'clock come, they charge me. So I used to go to Guardian paper every morning to sit down and read it. Okay? About 4 cases I was on. They keep putting off. Now I get paid if I work with a company. It was no problem to me. But what I look at, I check with the judge, the magistrate, the lawyer. He had a case in San Fernando. He had a case in Arima. So what he doing is sending the clerk. I'm saying on the national radio, the Chief Justice is supposed to have a rule where no lawyer or whoever it is, defense counsel, should have more than 10 to 20 cases for the least we can handle, get out of, and bring more new cases on the docket over there, they call it. Because I find how one man could have 50 and 60 and 70 cases. I used to go around with a bailer. Used to go by all them bad boys on a Saturday and collecting money. They do because they're on bail. So what think after that I'm doing? Anyhow, I will come off for you and your beautiful wife. Let somebody else come and talk to you. Have a good day.
It was a good point, and thank you very much. We know that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So he was a juror.
And right? Please take care and with the chairs in your house.
Yes, careful with the chairs. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Garth and Natasha.
Good morning.
One of the ideas I think that we could do for the youth, in each community now have community centers. I think if we could get somebody to train or to assess the young people, because as we know, the young people having children and they don't have the all it takes to grow these children. So you use up the community center and have programs to help them.
Okay.
And one of the things I have got, I am Anne from Maloney, right?
Hi.
Yes, Natasha. I have been going to the Maloney pool, as you was talking about the disabled people.
Yes.
To try to get into the water therapy.
Yes.
And because I'm blind, they told me blind people cannot attend the pool.
No, what madness.
How sighted people go bounce me down.
Oh,
so all up to now, I haven't gotten a chance to take part. So I don't know if anybody who around with the pool and thing, if they can assist.
That pool actually is under the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, I believe. So I can make some inquiries into that. That is a very serious concern.
Yes,
you should, especially as a person with a disability, if you want to participate in any kind of physical activity, you should be allowed to do so and have access to these facilities. So I will inquire on your behalf and update you next week.
Thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
And folks, speaking.
One.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of community get-togethers and community work, coming together, the Honorable Foster Cummings is offering free family movie night this evening. Join us for the night of excitement as inspiration. They're going to show the Black Panther, groundbreaking Black Panther movie, and this come and celebrate the power of Wakanda with us. And this is at family movie night, Sunday, 7th May, which is this evening, La Hoqueta Basketball Court, folks, and it's all free. So go up there and sit as a community, and let's do that without any negative news the next day. All right? The minister has a movie for you all to see, and I hope one night he would host traffic too as well. Good morning.
Morning, Miss Sinclair, and morning, Garth.
Morning.
Garth, what about the house of money, boy?
What about what?
The house of money in Aranguez.
Mm-hmm.
The house of money, you see this honesty, and when you're trying to deflect, they're talking about generational wealth. And the community that I'm from, St. James and Woodbrook, the drug merchants didn't look like me and you know. And today, 40 years later, the spin-off with broken homes who have died, who end up 6 feet. And the gang warfare and all of that started with that. So when people want to label and take a role in brush and broad brush a whole community in a racist way, the only thing we could do, as David Mohammed says, self-defense. And the drug use, that would discriminate, you know, because I lose many good friends on both sides. They don't discriminate who they're going to sell to or not they're going to sell to, you know. Just recently, a good friend died in an abandoned home a couple of years ago, and he didn't look like me and Garth. So people are people, you see, they could only talk that nonsense in the community, and people who they feel share our view. They can't come out around no serious, balanced, rational-minded person and talk that dotishness. But Garth, I just want to end by saying, Garth, what is the reason I grew up around real hardcore weed smokers, and I never know weed smokers to be thieves. I always know the drug users were the ones that were using crack cocaine were thieves. What it is, weed smokers, young people today are thieving like drug users. What has happened that weed? Why they're stealing like foul thief? When they come, what was the reason for that, Garth?
All right, listen off here, I'll tell you.
All right, thanks, son.
Yeah, because there is a grade of marijuana now that's being mixed. Remember, since the decriminalization of marijuana, the block grew because now people could have access to 4 trees and they could turn that into a product for sale. But if I selling drugs on this block here and just a block down the road there's a next person selling, I have to make my weed stronger. So, and there are a lot of reasons now. Apart from the green marijuana, there's a kind of chocolatey looking mud-like marijuana now that they're selling at the Kush. They call, remember, long ago they used embalming oil to compress marijuana, but they don't do that anymore. They don't sell compressed marijuana again. You know, that now they have switched that to something else. So this is why when somebody smoke a joint that could have lasted them for 3-4 hours and then they get the munchies and they go and eat, and now some weed smokers need it like every 10 minutes, just like crack cocaine users.
Yeah,
there's something they're putting in it.
The decriminalization hasn't stopped the importation of marijuana into the country, and of course there are many different grades and different ways that people process and their marijuana to make it more addictive.
Let's go back to the lines, folks. Those of you who joined with us and stayed with us, we appreciate you so much, and we know you will tell somebody what you heard, and you listen to us, and you now can, I always try to get people to understand a piper and what makes a piper tick, what we call a piper. I hope you all understand. It don't just start from me waking up and saying, okay, I'm going to rob people and steal to satisfy a habit.
No human being is built like that.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Garth and Natasha.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for the excellent program as per usual. Let me tell everyone, I come from a teaching family. That is aunt, brother, sister, cousin, son, and so on. However, the compassion they showed for students, maybe teachers now are so overwhelmed by the curriculum and the quality of students. Teachers also need help. My aunt and family used to go to the homes of the delinquent students to find out why they were not attending schools. They will dip in their pockets to give them lunch money, transportation, and so on. Additionally, you see the fighting and so on, out of school, in and out of school, tells us that something else is happening there. So to me, before disciplining these students, they should be all sent for drug testing. Then we will know the extent of the problem. When I look at the Parliament channel and see the behavior of some of the parliamentarians. I think drug testing should also be done in the parliament. Imagine these people have to make laws for us to live by and be good citizens. Now, they should also bring in the altar people to ensure that all the children involved in fights and so on can read, right? And finally, put the students in an environment whereby the their self-esteem can be uplifted, letting the students know that they matter and we care about them, that there are people waiting to help them. So the solutions are drug testing and bringing in ALTA and these other groups to teach students to read. As John told us, he couldn't read. He learned to read in prison. So these students fighting a thing because they can't read, they can't comprehend, they can't take anything with them, you know. So these are the solutions: drug testing and bringing in groups to help them with reading and so on. Thank you, guys.
That has
Yes.
does work in the prison too as
But
well.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
But the kind of irony is that you trying to teach children to read in school,
You know,
school-age children to read
I mean, so we're supposed to teach them to read.
in school.
Okay,
If the school doesn't know they can't read, what they doing there? What are they doing?
So what are we supposed to do with them?
I'm just saying, if the school is aware that you have children enrolled in your school who can't read, whose fault is that? Whose responsibility is that? No, I'm not disagreeing with the caller. I'm just saying it's a bit ironic that a school would require an organization like ALTA to come in and teach their students how to read. I think that's a failure of the school.
Okay. I'm not an expert where that is concerned, so you
can have a student enrolled in a school and he or she can't read.
Okay, but then it starts from primary school, right? Remember?
Yes, correct.
Right. So then that's where we start to learn to read from
Correct.
kindergarten.
And this whole common entrance.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, let me not go there. No, but I
yes.
just wanted to make a quick point about the teachers. She mentioned teachers, how important they are, and I agree with you. Just a little story I wanted to tell about a primary school teacher who is conducting lessons. This is primary school, lessons from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning. And she comes for the lessons class, then leaves the class for the day and goes home to correct papers. That making sense?
That's
just one
and then
I know teachers have it hard, but this is ridiculous. There are some teachers really taking advantage of parents and children out here. I just wanted to stick that in.
Okay. Let's take another call quickly. 622-3937. Hello, good morning.
Morning, God.
Morning.
Morning. What's the lady name again?
Natasha.
Well, I kind of just come to your program. I used to listen, but now start back. But I called to eat a little humble pie on your program. These days I eat humble pie. In terms of the interview, it was very revealing. It makes some connections in terms of where I am at, in terms of the problems that we have in the society. And what he described in terms of that fall through the crack youth is where the generational handover just take place with those youths that not grounded, psychologically and in the home and in society and stuff like that, low self-esteem problems. Because people keep saying how it's because people are hungry, crime is being committed. But then the point was made that, you being hungry ain't going to make you bend down below a pool table and blaze up somebody with some bullets, if you understand what I'm saying. You can't connect hunger and that. But then to have those kind of people, you need the youths, as how the gentleman described. Yeah, you need them to recruit them. And, it is a very important factor in terms of where, our hold on youths who don't have good homes and stuff like that is very important to get that hold on them. And in closing, in school, right, there's an anomaly that exists with schoolwork and children who don't have the family, and that is the objectivity in terms of what this schoolwork is for. Because I went through school like that, and we should consider post primary or post exams, or don't push you up until you're ready. in the school system. And I think that's where plenty of the bacchanal is. Because if you take a hustler now and put him in a class, put him in a accounts class, put him in a chemistry class, put him in a physics class, he is going to pass those exams.
Right.
But he don't know that due to the experience that he have out in real life. So like I say, I'm humbled by your interview today. I have a little more knowledge to work with. Good program, locked on and listening. I'll try not to be a stranger. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, my brother. And thank you for breaking that down so succinctly. And you're right. Good. But sometimes the guy who want to be on the pool table, remember too, he could be influenced because of the place that he came from. So he was recruited because of his circumstance he had to carry out. But you see that shooting, that MO, that has a different connotation to me than what I saw there, but that's for another program. But thank you very much, brother, for calling in. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Garth and Natasha.
Morning.
Congratulations on your program. I want to advise Natasha that in keeping with the saying, if you know something, say something. If you see something, see something. If you know of a teacher in a school who is operating as you say they're operating, you have a responsibility to find the principal, lodge a complaint, and bring it to their attention that it has come to your attention. They have supervisors, and I want to assure you that should not go without some kind of sanction and consequence.
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
I understand that it has been brought to the attention of the principal, but I'm not sure if anything has been done.
There should be some follow-up. Yep. People who need it most are the ones who get it least.
Yes.
And that is one of the ways we could correct this problem in the society. Thank you very much, and continue doing your good work.
You're welcome. Gary, just play that quote for me quickly. As we get ready to close, I want to leave this quote to the Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago.
This is I-95.5's Who the Cap Fit.
Who the fit? Let them wear it.
Change is brought about because ordinary people do extraordinary things. Barack Obama.
Who the cap fit? Let them wear it.
This is all we're trying to say.
Yep.
We're just ordinary people trying to make a difference in our society.
Yes.
And we cannot make that difference if there are wheels and there are spokes in the wheel missing. We
and
just
if
have
the
a
people
revolving
who are
door.
responsible don't do their flicking work. That's all I have to say.
You see how
so, if the people responsible don't do their jobs, God,
yes,
is that better?
Take it down now.
Don't do their jobs.
Folks, I apologize, right? My co-host gets very passionate from time to time. And thank you once again for joining us. Fix it, Jesus. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Thank you for contributing. If you have any comments to make, please visit our Facebook page, EYE on Dependency, and leave your comments there. We will engage you there further to this discussion. All right? So, Natasha, thanks
Good
once
afternoon.
again. Sterling Henderson is here with the major news at 12. Let's go home.